Welcome back. It's time for business, and for that I'm joined by William Edwards. Hello, William.
Hi, Claire.
Starting off with the markets.
Yeah, just opening up in Europe as we speak. So let's take a look at how that's going so far. And early trading is not great at the moment. It's following on from two negative sessions in the US and in Asia. As we can see there, at early doors nonetheless, but opening down. This is after a gauge of Eurozone business activity fell back into contraction for February. That was announced yesterday. So those shares perhaps still reacting to that. Let's take a look at how things have worked out in Asia as well over the course of the session. Of course, there was that news from China on Monday that their growth forecast for 2012 was going to be its lowest in 7 or 8 years. So that caused some disappointment on the market. It's commodities companies, steel makers, oil producers, etc., that are really leading the falls there because they have the most to lose from any slowdown in Chinese growth.
Now, Europe's car industry will be hoping to get a boost this week as the Geneva Motor Show opens its doors. While premium manufacturers are doing well, mid-range brands such as Opel are struggling. They'll be hoping a Car of the Year award will help their sales, but big changes may be required to turn things around at the company, as Ben Barnier explains.
Car of the Year at the Geneva Motor Show. The Chevy Volt, a plug-in hybrid car, offers a range of 500 kilometers.
I will tell you that the world needs electric cars, especially those that deliver zero CO2 emissions.
But the Chevy Volt has yet to draw customers. Disappointing sales have led GM to slow down production of the Volt and of its European version, the Opel Ampera. Like Opel, other mid-market car makers in Europe, such as Peugeot, Renault and Fiat, are losing ground. These companies are squeezed between cheaper cars, such as Hyundai, and high-end market products, such as BMW, Mercedes and Audi. In January 2012, the West European car market fell 7.9% compared with a year earlier. Last week, GM said it would take a 7% stake in Peugeot Citroën for 320 million euros. The companies hope to lower their costs by sharing production units. But more radical steps might be needed to restore profitability, including closing plants.
And there are some other bits of motor industry news coming out of Geneva today.
Yeah, we're expecting to hear from Nissan later on as the show gets underway in Geneva. They're expected to create 2,000 jobs at their factory in Sunderland in the UK. They will be building a new compact model at that plant in a 150 million euro investment. So especially good news, what with those worries about the GM plant in the UK, as we were just hearing in that report. Also, there are reports in India's Financial Express newspaper today that Tata, the Indian conglomerate, may be considering a bid for Saab. Of course, Saab, the Swedish car maker, went bust in December. They do still have around $350 million of assets, it's thought. So Tata, which owns Jaguar and Land Rover in the UK already, of course, they may be swooping in to pick up a good deal there.
Now, the financial crisis has brought about quite a few changes over the last few years, but this is something that you wouldn't have expected to see happen before 2008. We've got people shipping food parcels to an EU country.
Yeah, I thought this was really quite surprising and really showed the extent of the financial crisis because Greek expatriates in Frankfurt in Germany, they are sending food parcels back home to Greece. More than 6,000 boxes apparently were sent to Thessaloniki in Greece. And the first 7.5-ton truck was filled up within 15 minutes. It was organised partly through the Orthodox Church, a local church in Frankfurt. And the boxes are meant to be distributed to families with a monthly income of less than 500 euros a month, which anyone who lives in Europe could tell you does not go very far, of course, especially if you have a family. So a really interesting little window there into how bad things have got really in Greece. Some families are sending back cash so that the money can be spent in Greek supermarkets and the Greek economy rather than sending back food parcels. But I'm sure either way, the help is appreciated there.
It's a good initiative. It's just a shame that it's come to this. Now, moving on to Iceland, which is one of the countries worst hit by the financial crisis when its banking system collapsed, and it's taking down the rest of the economy with it. The Prime Minister at the time is now on trial for his role in the financial disaster. He says he can't be held responsible, though, for the actions of investors. Kate Moody has more.
Iceland's 3 major banks collapsed in the fall of 2008 and were later taken over by the state. Then Prime Minister Geir Haarde denied that the ensuing crisis was his fault.
I cannot take responsibility for the global economic crisis. I can take responsibility for the actions of the governments that I have been involved with in terms of policy, but I cannot take responsibility for the actions of the commercial bankers.
He again rejected responsibility on Monday in court, where he faces charges of gross negligence. He told prosecutors he didn't know the banks were on the verge of collapse and that he did everything possible to prop up the economy. Some politicians who fought to bring Haarde to court have now changed their minds about his responsibility. Haarde resigned in January 2009 amid mass public protests, as Iceland was forced to take bailouts from the International Monetary Fund and its Nordic neighbors. Its krona currency lost about 60% of its value in the crash and has not recovered. But other parts of the economy have started to rebound. Unemployment levels have dipped, and Iceland's debt rating was lifted out of junk status by the agency Fitch. And the IMF estimates that gross domestic product will expand more than 1% this year, far stronger than the Eurozone.
Now, there's a bit of a battle brewing in the coffee market.
Yes, and quite a lucrative market it is too. This is the capsule market. You'll probably be familiar with the Nespresso machines that you can get. George Clooney, of course, fronts
That's
up there.
who popped into my head when you said that,
I thought it might have, Claire. Well, they are being, their territory is being muscled into by Starbucks, another giant in the world of corporate coffee. And they already have their own capsule system over in the United States. But according to the Financial Times, they're going to be moving over to Europe with their system as soon as this month. Now, Nespresso is very jealously guarding their intellectual property, and they've sued a lot of other different companies that are trying to, they say, make knockoffs of their system. But Starbucks obviously is confident that it can get around any problems in that department. Now, the market for Nespresso is worth around $3 billion a year. So well worth getting a piece of that if you are a company such as Starbucks.
Now, a little earlier, we were talking about food parcels because of the financial crisis. Some people, though, obviously still doing very well. We've got reports of a trader enjoying a £200,000 night out.
Yeah,
just one night.
This is an incredible and somewhat ridiculous story, but this is being reported by Britain's Daily Mirror newspaper. One trader, £200,000 in a night out. The best part of it, £125,000, went on, I think, that bottle of champagne, they claim. It's a 30-litre Midas, it's known as, of Ace of Spades champagne. There's the receipt for his night out. You can't read it, but I can tell you that just the 10% service charge was £18,000. That's around 22,000 euros or so, which is quite incredible. So who was the guy who went on this ridiculous spending spree? Well, apparently he was only 23 years old. A trader in London called Alex Hope, we're told. And, well, some people obviously may find this a bit much in these straitened times, spending that much on one night out. But I thought it was rather disappointing that, according to the receipt, he paid up and left at 2 a.m., which for a £200,000 night out, it seems a bit early to me.
Wow, that is insane. All right, thank you very much, William Edwards, for that look at the day's business news. Thank you for watching. Stuart Norval will have the latest headlines in just a few minutes. Don't go away.